King D, back with another one. How are we all doing, guys? I hope you're keeping well. So, this video is about say how you feel to those that matter to you. This is a really big one and something that I've been beating myself up over a little bit, and I'm trying not to, but it's one of them things. So, as those of you know who's watched the last few videos, my dad passed away. It's about a week and a half ago now. Yeah, nearly coming up to 2 weeks. And I've been thinking about it a lot. And there's been times when I've said what I needed to say to my dad, but there's a lot of times that I didn't. And I kind of wish I did. And it's definitely changed the way I think now about, some people really close to me in my life, or that really mean something to me. And I think it's important to let them know, because at the end of the day, we are all fighting a battle. That is life. Every single person is fighting a battle. And to just hear how important they are to you goes a long, long way. It really does. And that's why I'm kicking myself as well, because how I feel about my dad, why can't I just say it? I mean, like, every time I used to go around to see him, say 4 or 5 times a week, normally after work, I'd call around, have a cup of tea or two, and when I'd leave, he'd always go, "Love you, Davey," and I'd say, "Love you too." The fuck's that? Do you know what I mean? I couldn't even say, "I love you, Dad." I fucking love you. I just kind of mumbled it. I love you too. It's pathetic. And, now he's gone, and I think to myself, I should have fucking told you every time. And one thing, I had a conversation with a friend of mine. We sat on my deck in a cigar each and shooting the shit as we normally do, talking about life, love, and everything in between. We have some really good conversations. Me and my mate Big Tone. And at the time, he'd recently lost his stepdad, and he did say to me at the time, he said, "You really need to say how you feel and let them know how much they mean to you." And I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? And I said to him, I said, how proud I am of my dad. And for some reason, I couldn't tell him. I knew the time was going to come, and I knew I wasn't going to have long left with my dad, and I knew that. So I kept thinking I really need to tell him how proud I am, and how proud I am that he is my dad. Because I really am. I won't want any other bloke on this planet to have been my dad. I was so lucky that he was my dad. So lucky. Never told him. So, talked to my mate, and he was like, "You need to tell him how proud you are of him, if that's how you feel." I was like, "Yeah, you're right. Well, how do you bring that up?" So I go around, and he'd either be watching YouTube, some of his rock music, or from back in the day, or sometimes he'd be watching a bit of regular TV, like game shows. He liked his trivia and all that. And I'd come round and take the piss out of the contestants and make him laugh, and then he'd crack a few jokes and make me laugh. And I couldn't just say it. I couldn't just go, "Oh yeah, this is good, whatever we're watching here. Oh, by the way, Dad, I'm super proud of you, and I'm glad that you're my dad." That's hard. It's really hard to just come out and say that. And for any of you watching this, I know it's hard to say these kind of things. Just come out with it. And I just sort of, I couldn't just say it. I thought, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. When I see him tomorrow, I'm going to tell him." And I didn't. Father's Day came along, and then it was a cop-out, absolute cop-out, and ridiculous really, and just put, Happy Father's Day. I'm really proud to call you my dad, or whatever it was I put on Facebook. And at the time, I mean, it was on the decline then anyway. I don't even think he read it. I think, that was pathetic. That was horrendous, really. And that's me trying to. That was my way of telling him I was proud of him, which was bullshit. So, if that's you, and it's hard, I think hard for men as well, especially. And I think me and my dad, we are men. We don't do much talking about feelings, really, and it's a difficult conversation to have, isn't it, really? Even though it shouldn't be. Why is it? So, learn from my mistakes, and whoever you got close in your life, and that you love them and you really appreciate them, tell them. You might sound nuts, but who gives a shit, really? I mean, just turn around and say, you know what? I fucking love you, and you're always there for me, and I really appreciate you. Just say it. Just say it. Now, I will say, towards the end, I think it was like a few days before he went to the hospice, so he was kind of very sleepy, couldn't get much out of him. And I did say to him there, I says, Dad, I love you, and I'm really, really proud of you. And this face lit up with the biggest smile on his face. And I weren't even sure whether he could understand me at the time or not. I mean, a few days before, he says, he could hardly speak. But what he said was, you look like my son. And I said, well, I should hope so, Dad, because I am your son. So it was a bit out of it anyway. But it meant a lot that I told him I loved him and I was proud of him. And it made him smile, like a big smile. His face just beamed. Bear in mind, he was like just there in bed and could hardly move, could hardly talk. He seemed to be struggling to breathe, but he had a big smile on his face. But then I should have said that sooner, and I should have said it more. And I should have gone more in depth. Yeah, I'm proud of you. I should have said more. I should have said more. So, tell your dad and your mum, your brother, your sister, your friends, your wife, your husband, whoever, your children. Tell them exactly how you feel about them. Make sure you do. You're not going to regret anything if you can tell them that. And I can guarantee you now, it would make your day. Make their day, should I say. Yeah, I'm still not with it, guys. I do apologise. It really will make their day. I know if somebody told me, and I've had comments before. I've had comments from you guys watching this. Every now and then, one of you will drop me a message and say, it's what I'm doing is making a difference in their life and things like that. That makes my day. That makes my week. Makes my month. You know what I mean? And it spurs me on, keeps me doing what I'm doing. That really means something. And like if one of my mates turns, and I've had it where they told me how important I am to them. That's a big deal. And I tell you what, on about men again, not really expressing our emotions and that. That takes a fucking man to lay your heart on the line and just say what you think. Vulnerable as it is to put yourself in that position to just say, this is me and this is how I feel about you. It's powerful. That is hard. It is very hard. I mean, look, I fucking failed at it. I didn't do a very good job. I didn't do it as well as I should have done it because it's fucking hard. That's something I would have changed now with who's left in my life. And it's something I'm going to be doing as well. I'm going to let them all know. Every one of them. Whether it makes me look crazy. I could be there on a pint with my mate. and says, "Oh yeah, what have you been up to? Oh, did you see the game? Yeah. By the way, I fucking appreciate you, mate. I absolutely love you. I'm just gonna say it. I don't give a fuck anymore. And learn from my mistakes, guys. If you really care about somebody, let them know." I cannot stress it enough. We'll leave it there, I think. But before we leave it there, I will say I had more to say to my dad, but there is stuff I did say. Now, I could have nearly not said this. I remember not last Christmas, the Christmas before. So obviously, even then, I was seeing him 4 or 5 times a week. Now, I work on my own most of the time, and I live on my own. Some days I don't have any human interaction, which I know is not good for me. And I do have a habit, especially when I'm not doing so good, is isolating myself. There'll be a video on that at some point, I'm sure. But, so yeah, I do isolate myself. And my hobbies aren't exactly very social. You know, I might train with my neighbour or my daughter. Other than that, this isn't exactly very social. There's nobody here. I'm talking to a fucking camera. And me writing and things like that, you know, it's very solitary. It's not people based, it's me. So, and my home, you know, I do like my home and I do like my life a lot. Been a bit shit lately, but I do. But it's a bit lonely, and we are social creatures at the end of the day. And so so what happened was, anyway, Christmas time, we're having a drink, me and my dad, and we're getting a bit drunk, and it was probably the best Christmas I've ever had. And I can think back when I was a kid, and I was excited to wake up and see what Santa's brought me. And they'd overdo it with the presents, honestly. There'd be a sofa full of wrapped up boxes for me. There'd be another sofa there for all my brother's stuff, and then another giant pile for all my sister's stuff. You know, they always did well every Christmas, and every Christmas, apart from one where I was really ill, they were mega as a kid. They really were. But not the last one, but the last one was amazing as well, because my brother joined us. That was great. I don't think I was at my best at the time though, so I don't think I don't know. But the one before, when it was just me and him, I remember he said to me while he was drunk, he said, "Thank you." He says, "I want to thank you, Dave, for being there for me and coming to see me as often as you do." And I know, again, that was hard for him to say. And he told me that because he was pissed up like I was. But we shouldn't have to wait till we're pissed up to say how we feel about somebody else. We shouldn't wait to be pissed. I mean, one thing, you're pissed, you're talking half it's bullshit anyway. I mean, they do say you're more honest when you've had a drink, and yeah, I could agree with that to some extent, because I've also come out with a lot of crazy shit when I'm pissed as well, which makes no sense. So, swings and roundabouts on that one. So he said that to me anyway, and I'm so glad I said it back. I said to him, I did it for me just as much as I did for you. I says, "I love being here, Dad." And I did. It was home before going home. My dad was home. So I haven't actually cried sober tears since the day after he passed. So I'm almost starting now. Come on, King D. And he was, and I'm so glad I got to say that to him. but I should have said more. There was a lot more to say and I didn't. So, learn from my mistakes. I know I'm going to learn from my mistakes. Do the same. And like the video, drop us a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And do tell your friends, and be the best you. And do it for you. Cheers.